Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today we are going to be talking about Resplendent Robin, or just the regular male Robin in general. We're going to be going over what he looks like now that he has his Resplendent appearance, and kind of talk about ways you can build this unit. So, first of all, let's take a look at his Weapon Refine, which is a really cool one. So, Tactical Bolt grants Weapon Triangle effectiveness against colorless foes, and inflicts Weapon Triangle disadvantage to colorless foes during combat. At the start of turn, grants attack, speed, defense, and res +4 to allies within 2 spaces for 1 turn, only if the number of allies of that movement type are less than 2. In other words, it is a tactic skill, but for all 4 stats, which is really cool, because it gives a +4 to all of these stats just by being close to this unit as long as your movement type is correct, which makes him an excellent support unit. But he also has decent stats, which means he can do other things as well, and he does fit other roles. And including using different tomes, which I'm not going to talk about in this video in particular, but I will mention them, or I won't show them in the video, but I will mention them. So, with that, let's move on to the Aether Raid build. Alright, so, what we have here is an Aether Raid build for the Astro season. What I'm planning on doing with this build, or what I'm showcasing here, is that at the start of the turn, he is your Smite unit. He is going to buff your main sweeper to 4 to each stat, as long as you make sure that him and your buffer are the only infantry allies on your team. This works very easily because some of the people on your team, well, 2 of them should be mythics, and I'm giving the Altina and Naga bonus, so we have 2 flyers already. Then the bonus unit. The bonus unit is really what's going to throw this off. You need to make sure that your bonus unit is of a different movement type if you want this strategy to work. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen. Let's say your sweeper is a Vantage Sweeper, and you send them in to +4 with all stats. Obviously, that's a huge boost anyways. Now, they're not going to get the Joint and Drive attack, which is okay, unless you have ways to like shove this unit 1 space closer, which is a possibility as well. But there are other reasons why I have that on, and I'll talk about it in a second. Now, after you push the unit in, let's say it's the opponent's turn, things happen, and your sweeper survives. Now your sweeper is out of range for the tactic bolt, but that's okay, because now you should have done enough damage where the opponent is pretty low, and all you have to do from there is finish and clean up. He actually ends up being a pretty good cleanup unit, because he doesn't have the highest attack stat, he's got an okay speed stat, but if you combo that with Joint Drive attack, as long as he's close enough to a different ally, and attack and speed solo 4, he gets a strong enough boost to attack and a strong enough boost to speed that he's going to be doubling on most things you're going in on, and with a low charge cooldown like Moonbow, that should work as well. But realistically, what's going to be happening is he's going to go in and do a little bit of cleanup, kill something for you if necessary. Your sweeper might just be able to do that, but he's kind of built that he is able to handle himself in those situations and is able to pick up some kills if absolutely necessary. Obviously, you don't want to use him to pick up kills, but he can clean up pretty good, especially if you're having trouble with a colorless foe. Let's say you give him the Naga Dragon effectiveness bonus, he can pretty much shred Dumas or the Fallen Tikis. So it is a pretty useful thing to have, that colorless effectiveness. It does help with taking out some of the beefier colorless foes. Just something to keep in mind for the Aether Raid build. Now obviously I also have Distant Guard 3 on him. This is only relevant if you can shove him into range of your sweeper. If not, you might actually want to change this for a different skill that makes a little bit more sense situationally for him. But I like having that kind of a skill on him just in case, because it also helps the allies around him. But enough about this build, let's move on to the arena build. Now you'll notice that the arena build is obviously very similar. The difference is we have to go for a little bit more score, because if we are going for max score, you do want to have these kind of skills like Rally Attack Res, Ruptured Sky instead of Moonbow. But I also give him the Death Blow 3. The reason I'm giving him Death Blow 3 is because if you are going to be trying to pick up kills with this unit, the bonus to attack during combat is pretty good. If you combine this with attack and speed solo and Joint Drive attack, excuse me, that's a substantial amount of attack he's getting. That's 17 attack on attack, right? So when he initiates combat, he is getting plus 17 attack and effectiveness against colorless foes, which is really strong. So, very powerful skill there. A very powerful terrible. What powerful way to go in and initiate and do some damage in combat. Does actually make for a pretty solid arena unit, especially for handling colorless foes if you are having problems with them, or perhaps there's a colorless foe that is a bonus unit that you're having trouble killing, and this is a good way to kind of shred that. So, roughly the same build, a little bit different for score, but it does work all the same. And finally, we have our budget build. Now, the budget build is built around two different ideas, being a mix between support and being able to go in and actually do some damage. Fury 3 is kind of a staple on builds like this because you want to have those extra stats, and the health that you lose while attacking will help put him into desperation range, which means he has a better chance of attacking twice. This is important because his speed stat is kind of crap, so you can't really do a whole lot with doubling unless you have desperation, so that's why I want to have that on there. The drive attack and speed 2 are pretty important as well, because as long as he's within 2 spaces, not only could he be giving the tactical bolt buff depending on your movement types, but he can also buff the attack and speed of the allies that are close to him just by being 2 spaces away, making him an excellent support unit while also having a slight role of being able to attack if absolutely necessary. So a little bit of both, kind of a solid build here. You can do other things in Fury 3. I usually like to have it there because it combos really well with Desperation. I recommend it. And you obviously don't need reposition as well. You could do things like swap, but pretty standard build for this. It's a good support, decent attacker. He's not as good of an attacker with the budget, but with Invest, he actually does end up being pretty good. Something to keep in mind. That being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out more videos just like this one. For each Resplendent unit that comes out, for any single units that come out, that's like Grand Hero Battle, Tempest Trials, things like that, I put videos out for. I do plan on a couple different series up ahead where I'm going to be talking about just different units in the game in the 3 to 4 star pool that I think are very viable in different modes, and why I think that. But that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.